Say to you, happy, thank God the Mueller hearings are over. Please retweet if you will for everybody coming in who may not be getting their notifications. Really appreciate it. There we go. Thank you so much for doing that. Hey, Hugh, Robin, Motown, how is everybody this morning? Dawn, good to see you. Joke hearings, it was worse than that. Mike, saying it's joke hearings is being nice. My God. Had you from nice, cool Texas. Oh my goodness, Andra. What is it, about 1,000 degrees there? Good morning, Tim. Good to see you. Yeah, yesterday. Okay, let's we'll get started in a second. Let me just read something from First Peter, and then we'll get started on this. He who would love life and see good days, let him refrain his tongue from evil and his lips from speaking deceit. Let him turn away from evil and do good. Let him seek peace and pursue it. For the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are open to their prayers, but the face of the Lord is against those who do evil. Amen. Hey, Teresa. Hey, Liz. Pilot Mike. Good day, Mike. Good day, Mike. Good day, Aussie, mate. Hey, Cully. 78 degrees here in Texas, Chessie said. Nice. Aussie Nick. Good day. All right. Yesterday, capital punishment reinstated DNJ by Barr. Men taught that verse to my kids today. You taught that verse to your kids today. Good, Motown. Hey, Yuri, good morning. 60 degrees in Seattle. Wow. Nice. Okay, so I wasn't going to watch yesterday. I watched most of the hearings in the morning, and I watched a little bit in the afternoon. I would say probably I'm feeling the same way that you feel. Hey, Debbie, good to see you. It was the most ridiculous. Hey, Cindy. Embarrassing, unbelievably bad, uh, incriminating, not for Trump, but Mueller. Hey, Kim. And I immediately said, this was, after watching 1 minute of it, I immediately said, hey, Wayne, it's 16 Waco. He did not write this report, and he didn't read this report. He didn't even know what was in it. I caught about 15 minutes of the circus. Rocky said, Rocky, it was cringeworthy, Motown. It was cringeworthy. Good morning, Teresa. Hey, Michael. It was, the Democrats, you can tell, they wanted to have this movie that they put out that would incriminate the president. Hey, Renee. And they were hoping that this was it. This was the big crescendo. If anything or anyone is guilty, it's Mueller and his cohorts, Rocky said. Yeah. But what they did, hey, Lee, what they did to help the fact that that Mueller was so bad at answering questions and so befuddled is what I called him in my article at SusanKnowles.com. He was befuddled. He really was. He couldn't hear anything. Divinely said, I'm not tired of winning. Robinson didn't watch it, but caught clips. Dan and I both said he didn't write it. Yeah. Good morning, Lori. Good to see you. It was so obvious that he didn't have anything to do with writing it, that he didn't know what was in it. He remembered some things, but not most things. And, even if you didn't write it and you know that you have a hearing, you need to be intimately familiar with what's in the documents that you're going to be questioned about. Now, hey, Alan, good morning. He thought he was just going to go in there and say, well, just read my report. It's in the report. It's in the report. Instead, he said it's not in my purview. I think about 16 times. I take that question. That was one of his answers. Repeat the question over and over because he couldn't understand what they were saying. If they spoke too quickly, he couldn't follow. Now, he's obviously unwell, Andra said. Yes, he's 74 years old. Kim said it was like Seinfeld. He's 74 years old. He's not well, which makes me believe that over the past 2 years, he did nothing. Yeah, what page is this? Where's that at? Was it in my report? What watching was like watching the Godfather 2 court scene. Carolina Purple. Hey, Jamie, how are you? Said it was so bad. He was worse than the Ford testimony during the Kavanaugh hearings, and that's really bad. Thought Mueller looked quite ill, Lee said. Heard around 100 times, Coley said. Yeah, the thing of it is, he didn't want to testify. Barr told him, you don't have to testify. And I think Barr was trying to protect him. I think in the joint statement, he was trying to protect him. Remember that joint statement they brought out after his first his 9-minute media show that he didn't write. We found out he didn't write that either. I think Barr was trying to protect him and saying, look, hold on, let me close the door for a second. I'm back. So anyway, he was trying to save face for Mueller. I think he knew, and I think listening to the GOP, they all know that this wasn't a Mueller show. This was Weissman who wrote everything. Yeah. What was the question? Slow down. Yeah. Dems cracked us up. They still tried to make something out of nothing. Yes, they did. They did. They really did. And if you think that they're going to stop and they'll never mention impeachment again, you're wrong about that, because they will. Rocky said he didn't answer a single question that actually mattered, other than that he slapped Ted Liar when he said he didn't reach the same conclusions. Rocky, yes. How did it leak that he is impaired? Andra, I don't think it had to leak. I think that Barr, in meeting with him, and even the president, people around Mueller, but when Barr was meeting with him, I think it was probably pretty obvious to Barr that there were some questions about his. I don't know that he's mentally ill. I don't think he's physically well. And I think that maybe he's like a lot of 74-year-olds, that just I've slowed down, and that's okay. But he obviously wasn't, in my opinion, looking physically fit enough to do this investigation. They have already brought up impeachment on Twitter this morning. Renee said, yep, I agree. They knew. Andra said, Dems never will stop, but it will not work. Yep. Why did the Dems let him testify? Motown, because I think there was no other choice. They had nobody else. That's why at the last minute they threw in that guy Tremblay or whatever his name was. I think that guy is probably the guy that took over when Weissman left. And that's all they had. And they were hoping that he could probably get up there and answer the questions, because he and Weissman, probably Weissman first, and then this guy, or they worked on it together, wrote that report, and he was probably pretty familiar with it. And they were hoping that he would be the one that could sit there and answer those questions. But it's also why they had everything in, on video. They brought up the tweets. They brought up the parts from the report, because they wanted you to, when you see something and you hear something, it stays with you longer than if you just hear it. But they knew probably that Mueller, because he'd talked to him before, they knew that he couldn't do what they had wanted him to do. They were hoping that this other guy would be the one there, but when that didn't happen, they were ready with the video for you. Some say he's a Clinton handler, Rocky said. Wouldn't be surprised if he suffers a heart attack after this, Lee said. He's possibly getting dementia, Divinely said. Now, I didn't see that, Divinely. I don't think so. I really don't think that's it. I just think that he didn't work on this. He didn't work on the investigation. I think somebody had asked him, did you talk to any of these witnesses? Did you interview any of them? And I don't think he interviewed a single one of them. And here's some things about Weissman that I haven't heard too many people bringing up. I don't know if I've heard anybody bringing it up. From what I've been able to find out is that in 2005, I believe it was, Weissman was then FBI director, Mueller's special counsel. And then in 2011, then he left, went into private practice. he came back in 2011 and was general counsel for Robert Mueller. So these people, Mueller, Comey, Wiseman, McCabe, all these people have a long history together, and there's no telling, how they work together. Here's the way I see it. This is my opinion. Hey, Marlene, how are you? And Andra said, I'm not going to get into that. Yeah, that's what he did over and over. You can't forget something you never knew. That's right, Renee. I don't think he ever knew it. Mueller and RBG need to retire. Yeah, that's a given. Well, Mueller is retired. They brought him out of retirement to do this job. So I think, in other words, for 2 years, he sat there, did absolutely nothing, probably came into the office maybe once a week just for an appearance sakes, got paid a great sum of money. While all the time, Wiseman and his merry men of attorneys that he hired, who were all anti-Trump, pro-Hillary Clinton attorneys, for the most part, they were all put in place to do the job. Hey, Lex, how are you? They were all put in place to do the job. And Mueller was the guy who lended all of it, the whole thing, credibility. That's all it was. Wiseman wrote the various legal opinions to justify ongoing executive investigations. And one of the things Ratcliffe said that was really important, and he said this to Comey, Mueller, interchangeable, to Mueller. As a prosecutor, your job wasn't to go in there and decide the innocence or guilt of the president. Your job, basically you go in there, you collect facts, and then a court of law or the DOJ is going to make the determination as to whether or not there is guilt or innocence. And then the other thing is, why did you, if you couldn't decide, as he was saying, the obstruction, they didn't do it because, well, you can't indict a sitting president. Well, if that's true, then why did you keep going on gathering information? And his answer was basically, because you can go after somebody after he's no longer president. So in other words, it was a witch hunt that they were trying to find information and kept going with that to use against the president afterwards. And remember, this whole thing started, it was all about Russian interference with the election, and the scope kept expanding. And now we know why the scope kept expanding. Exactly, not his job to exonerate. That's right, Ellen. It wasn't his job. You gather the facts, you give it over to the DOJ, and they'll make that determination. You just gather the facts. And you notice they called him a prosecutor. And before it was like, no, he's not a prosecutor. He's special counsel. And then they were just openly calling him a prosecutor. Well, I knew all along this guy was a prosecutor, and there was no difference. He went in there to find dirt, and Mueller has a reputation for finding dirt and then, then creating the crime that it fits with. Not that there's a possibility of a crime and you go look for facts. He creates the facts, and then at the same time, he creates what goes with it, what he can charge against the president. And I remember yesterday I was flipping channels and I heard one of the liberal talk show hosts, but I think it was a guest they had on, who said something that made a lot of sense too. Unbelievable that it did from the liberal left. But they said, isn't it possible that if you can indict a president after they leave, but if the statute of limitation runs out before that president leaves, then you can't get them, right? And so that's why they were so hell-bent on getting this and being the catch-all, the big light bulb moment, because they wanted to get this president, indict and impeach this president in case any of the statute of limitations would run before he gets reelected. So that's why they're in such a frenzy about doing that. I mean, all this stuff really starts to make sense. But and you notice, Robin said it's an embarrassment for the USA. It was. Eber said hearing loss is common in 74-year-olds, especially ones who led a rifle platoon in Vietnam. Okay. So I don't get your point, Ibris, but Yeah, he had hearing loss. I get that. But he had a lot of other memory loss too. And I don't mean that as dementia. I mean, because you don't, well, of course you can't lose what you don't have. So if he never wrote the report, he didn't have memory to lose. But he couldn't remember anything, didn't know where it was in the pages, couldn't remember what was said, didn't even know who Fusion GPS was. Now, almost everybody in the country who has turned on a TV in the last, I don't know, year knows at least Fusion GPS, something about them, or has heard the name. He didn't even know who Fusion GPS was. He didn't want to talk about the Steele dossier. And what I'm saying is, yeah, that's generally correct, which also means, Aussie Nick, it's generally not correct. I mean, I don't know why they let him get away with that, saying generally correct. It either is or it isn't. Or how about I take that question? Okay, well, why don't you take it? Or why don't you just answer it now? But I mean, basically this guy, it's just obvious he did nothing. I was about to say the lack of knowledge on Fusion GPS. Yeah. I mean, just unbelievable that he knew nothing. But what I was going to say is, you've noticed, and the hearings brought it out, that everything that was connected to President Trump was brought up, was investigated, was turned over and over. Everything connected to the Democrats, to the Russians, really wasn't investigated. And to Ukraine, what Nunes was saying, who paid $10,000, to the Russians, to the Ukrainians, who I can't remember the exact phrase that he said. But the thing of it is, they were trying to get dirt on President Trump in 2017, and it appears, the allegations are, that Wiseman paid $10,000 to the attorneys of Dmitry, gosh, I can't remember his name. Let me see if I wrote it down. Dmitry Firtash, okay, the attorneys of Dmitry Firtash, and saying, hey, you give us some dirt on Donald Trump and his connection to Russia, and we'll drop that 2014 criminal charge that we have going against you in the United States. Not 1 second spent on the real criminals. Not 1 second, Rocky. And giving Hillary and Uma and all those people immunity, not even talking to them about anything, not talking to Mifsud, who was another one who supposedly kind of started everything, according to Jim Jordan, who also talked to Papadopoulos about the Hillary emails. The Hillary emails to these people became the carrot that they were dangling, because they knew that there would be an interest by most people about the Hillary emails, and they used that. Isn't that collusion? Yes, Rocky, it's collusion. But is it a collusion to the legal standard, or is it just collusion? Yeah, is it extortion? No, Rocky, I mean, it really isn't. They can make deals. But it's ridiculous. And it's something that, again, as the case was falling apart, as they didn't have everything that they were looking for, that's what they came up with. Trump Tower meeting and report, but not in his purview about Fusion GPS. And Noel, he didn't talk about that, the fact that there were other people in the Trump Tower meeting that were connected with Russia, and yet they weren't investigated. They weren't talked about. I don't even think they were brought up in the report. I mean, it's just unbelievable. He, as I said, he wouldn't talk about the Steele dossier. That wasn't his purview. Charlie said it was Chicken Town. I have another word that I'm thinking, but I won't say that. And you think about it, they had 2 years to play around and keep expanding that scope. And they had Mueller, who would go into Rod Rosenstein and ask him to expand that scope based upon most likely what Wiseman was telling him. And I don't know if Mueller was, if it turns out that that's true about Wiseman, I don't know if Mueller actively, knowingly worked with Wiseman to get this and go after the president, this coup, I would say. And that would have to be determined. Mueller didn't even know about Fusion. Yeah, Lori, I was just saying that. He didn't know about Fusion GPS. Most people, unless you've lived in a cave, at least have heard the name and would know something about it. It's a poem. Look it up. Yeah, okay. So, I mean, unbelievable. But it did the question becomes, then did Mueller perjure himself before Congress because he knew that what he was saying to Congress, number one, wasn't his work, was based upon perhaps what somebody else wrote and may or may not be true, and there may have been some legal culpability in what they did. Mueller doesn't have a clue. No, he doesn't. And they need to start talking to Mueller about Uranium One. And see, Mueller, as we've talked about over and over in here, he had a conflict of interest from day one. Right? You'd have to be in a coma not to have heard about Fusion GPS, Divinely said. Absolutely. But he had a conflict of interest. He went in, he met with the president, he was being considered for the FBI. He didn't get the job. Now we know why. The next day, and I mean by that is he was so, if he was that befuddled during an interview, then there's no way that he would have gotten a job. But then the very next day, he goes out and he's appointed as special counsel. Now, Rod Rosenstein threw Mueller under the bus, Lori is saying. You have to wonder, did Rod Rosenstein, who was friends with Mueller, who knew about Mueller, who's also, Rod Rosenstein is friends with Comey, was he in on putting, if this is all true, putting Mueller into position, or did he, to go after the president, or did he put Mueller in that position to know that he was so befuddled it would help the president because it needed a special counsel, and this guy wasn't alert enough to do it. I tend to think that Rod Rosenstein may have been in on it. Maybe not knowing the whole thing that they were doing, but maybe doing a favor because he knew Mueller and it's, let's get this guy. And, I mean, who knows? I pray Barr is working full force to go after these liars. I think he is, Robin. He was clearly impaired. Real or Memorex doesn't matter. He needs an evaluation, Charlie said. Well, and these people were sitting there, the Democrats yesterday. Oh my gosh, they're attacking the credibility of Mueller. Listen, that's what you do in every court case. When you have somebody who comes in and says, I'm an expert, I'm special counsel, I'm this, I'm that, and it comes against your case, you better believe you're going to go in there and you're going to attack their credibility. That's your job. And you don't get a pass because you were a great veteran and a Marine, which thank you for your service. You don't get a pass because you were FBI. Who cares? Are you telling the truth? How did you gather this information? Was anything done in this process that was illegal, et cetera, et cetera? That's what you do. And I thought the GOP handled themselves really, really well yesterday. I was impressed by what they were doing, impressed by the questions that they were asking, and they were prepared. And I loved it. They were respectful to Mueller because if you had done anything else, it would have been all over the news. But they were respectful, but they were tough. They went after him as they should have. Oswald was a Marine. Yeah, well, that's true. Rick. Rosenstein set it all up with a letter to POTUS recommending firing Comey. Comey should have been fired, Noel. But Noel, you have to remember that Rod Rosenstein and Jeff Sessions both signed off on the fact that Comey should be fired. So they set themselves up. From the clips I saw, the GOP were awesome, Robin said. Yeah. And why were thousands of text messages erased by Mueller? Divinely, I'm hearing that those weren't Mueller's directions, but they were Wiseman's directions to do that. So I guess we'll find out. Pretty easy to look good compared to Mueller. Motown said, yeah, they did ask all the right questions. Marlene said, Mueller dims new Patsy. Rick said, Oh, Mueller is the Dems' new patsy. No, they're not liking him so much today, Rick. He didn't deliver. And people are saying, oh my gosh, why would the Democrats bring him in? He's obviously in such bad health and this and that. Because they don't care. They don't care about you as a person. They use you to advance their plan and their agenda, and then they dump you, and then they go against you. That's what they do. We've seen that over and over again. Mueller says going after Trump was a unique situation. I bet it was, Lori. It was for him. It was all set up to hire Mueller so Sessions could recuse himself. Danielle said, people are feeling sorry for Mueller. I say he made the choice to lie to and misled the American people. Yeah, Karma, I don't feel sorry for him. I feel bad that he was used. However, I've read Uranium One. I've also read of the articles in regards to how he took out references to Muslims and Islam in the FBI training manuals because CARE put pressure on him. I don't have any sympathy for him. Always suspected Wiseman as a ringleader, Karen said in YouTube. Hey, Karen. Oh, yay. Elaine made it in. Elaine made it in. I don't think Mueller wanted to be there at all. He didn't want to be there, Robin. And I think that's why Barr kept saying, you're looking for a wife. Well, you probably came into the wrong scope because we don't have women for sale. Yeah. Anyway, we like intelligent men in here. So, also, he's still pawn scum. Don't be deceived. Exactly, Marlene. I don't feel sorry for him at all. Mueller's a big boy. Mueller played the old guy card, embarrassed himself. I don't think any of it was some people saying, well, he was acting, whatever. I don't think so. I really don't think so. Good morning from Mid-America. Thank you for your research, keeping us updated on all these issues and support for our Republican Constitution. Hold on, save yourself, set a pace. It's an endurance race related to other issues. Consider the Epoch Times Canada as an independent newspaper exposing, among other things, Spygate from the Obama era flowing over to today. Also, OmarTruth.com. This is all from Linda. You can see that she's over on Facebook. Epoch Times, I'm not sure about them. I'm becoming more comfortable with them, Linda, but I know that they have a Chinese connection, and I don't know what that Chinese connection is. So until I find out more about that, I'm not going to feel comfortable. I don't know if it's the Chinese government or they're just, Chinese individuals, which doesn't matter, but I don't know if there's some connection with the Chinese government. Robin said, I don't feel sorry for him. He could have stopped this a long time ago. Yeah, he was brought in again. It looks as though he was brought in just to have the credibility that they all needed in order to keep this going. And again, he went over to Rod Rosenstein. He's the one that asked for increasing broadening the scope away from just the Russia interference with the election. And that scope was broadened. And that's when they went more after Trump than ever before. And they kept collecting information. So perhaps they could use it against him once he left office. It's despicable. Chezzy said, I'm so sick of the elite wasting our money. This was our money. Yeah, was is the operative word. It's gone. I don't think he was acting either. Niece and I both noticed his hand shaking at times. Absolutely, Karen. Yeah, he was just not, he's not well, and he's 74. That's a big responsibility, long hours if you're doing it yourself to, for 2 years to have a job like that at 74. President Trump, however, on the other hand, is 72. He sleeps less than anybody I know, and he's running the country beautifully. So age doesn't necessarily mean anything. It's your physical and mental health that goes with it. Pelosi just now, still too early to talk impeachment, says Congress still needs to gather more info, which means we're going to keep on going. We're going to keep on dragging people into Congress. Thanks, Susan Knowles, for the Epoch Times concern. I'll pursue it also. Thanks, Linda. Let me know what you find out, Linda. They changed the scope of Bill Clinton investigation, Mama Loxy said. Hey, Carol, how are you? Let's see some other things. Oh, gosh. I just want to tell you another alert. We have another crazy Uncle Joe. It's Joe Scarborough. who tweeted yesterday during the Mueller hearings, I feel some part, well, he said, tweeted, Jesus forgave me for ever being Republican. That was Joe Scarborough, not Joe Biden. And he said, he criticized the hearings and warned the Democrats, you need to open an impeachment inquiry now or bury it forever. We're at the halfway mark. If everybody could please go ahead and share and retweet this at this time, I would be appreciative. So there we go. All right. Thank you for sharing it and inviting your followers. He thought he could go off into the sunset. Yeah, he did. Sylvia, he thought that, he was in there, he was going to do his job and he was going to ride away. Now, I think the Democrats had to talk him in to coming and doing this hearing. And they probably said, you're going to be the hero. You're going to be the guy that brings the president down, blah, 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 blah. And he bought it. He took the bait. Says the guy who had a dead intern in his office talking about Joe Scarborough. Charlie said Joe Scarborough is a monster. Well, he's weird, to say the least, an independent now. I'm surprised that his wife would allow him to be an independent rather than a Democrat. So did Jesus forgive him what he did to that girl in his office? Irish girl said, assuming that he did it, right? Nobody ever found him guilty of anything. Good morning, Susan and fellow patrons. Hey, Bob, how are you? Now, I don't know about how you're feeling, but I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about this, whether or not there's going to be any pardons by the president. I feel that maybe none coming right away, but certainly after the election and the president is hopefully reelected, then we will see some pardons coming. They probably bought him a house next to Bernie. Probably, Sylvia. Probably. Think about how much money Mueller got. Mueller said no exoneration. He proved Trump and no, Mama Loxy. He didn't. He didn't prove anything. He proved that he didn't write the report. He didn't know what was in the report. That there was no crime that he found whatsoever, Mama Loxy. You really need to stop watching mainstream media and take off the rose-colored glasses. You've heard of those, right? You see things the way you want to see them rather than the way they are. Take those off. Start doing your own research. Start watching. I bet you didn't even watch the hearings yesterday, but you got the clips from the Democrats. You got to start paying attention. Once the other side prosecutions have been made and stories in MSM, then Trump can pardon Flynn. Yeah, I think that he's not going to take a chance on pardoning anybody until after the election, would be my guess. But there may be, maybe a few lower end people that he could pardon, but I don't think like Manafort that he's going to go after. And I loved what the one GOP, and I can't remember who it was, said to Mueller. Mueller's like, I forget what it was. It was a time thing. And he's like, I didn't do that, or I don't remember that, or whatever. Is that they said, well, you didn't mind going back 12 years, and looking at Manafort. He only went on these things that happened during the campaign. No, he did. He actually went back 12 years to get Manafort, and Manafort had already been interviewed, and his case had already been looked at by Rod Rosenstein 12 years prior. So, oh my God, everything he said. Trump will win in a landslide because the Dems have shown their true colors. Well, what the Democrats exhibited yesterday was the fact of how deep and corrupted the FBI at the time, I don't care if it's people at the top, whoever, how corrupt they are, how, if it's all proven, how corrupt they are, that they were trying to institute a coup against a sitting president, trying not to get him elected. Then once he was elected, trying to remove him from office by a coup, whatever way you want to call this coup, whether it was by, a technical coup or, whatever, cyber coup. They wanted him out of office. And if you think they're going to stop, they're not going to stop. Went back in time for dirt on Trump, but not for dirt on Dems. Yeah, of course not. And so, I mean, and it showed that they don't care about the truth. All they want, all they want today, tomorrow, and forever is to get the Republicans out, get the Democrats back in power, and turn this country into what they want to turn it into, which is an open border, one government for the world, one world government. Mueller proud of their integrity and no leaks. What about live coverage of Roger Stone? Not only that, but the one, was it Getz? One of the GOP held up a book that had 25 leaks in it. And he's like, well, that didn't come from my office or something like that. And he's like, you're the only one that worked on it. It had to come from your office. And Mueller's like, oh yeah, that's right. He didn't say that, but the look on his face. I read the Mueller report. You muted me because you can't handle different and protective. No, you ought to know. I muted you because you're rude. And I'm going to block you this time. There you go. So, that's the problem. Makes Watergate look like an amateur hour. It does, Charlie, because this coup had more people involved at different levels. We haven't even gone into Clapper and, anybody like that. An open border communistic country. Yep. Not buying the Mueller Quash Senile Act for 1 second. Tim, I don't think it's an act. I really don't. I think that's the way he is. I really do. But I think troll is a zero. Yep. I think there's so many people that are yet to be looked at that we need to find out, because and it goes all the way to the top. It really does. Whether or not they will get people like Obama and Hillary, they were all a part of it. They all knew. You can't tell me that they didn't know. A.G. Barr must have a great bad guy black book of names. Well, I don't know. But I'm waiting for the IG report. Really waiting for that. Yeah, Brennan and Clapper. I mean, we gotta find out what they knew. Got to find out what Susan Rice did. And you remember, I reported on this right before, Trump was elected, on the fact that they had gone in, the President Obama, then Obama, Susan Rice and others had gone in and opened up the number of communities that now had a reach to get like top secret and confidential information like never before. He did that right before he left. Yeah, what Obama knew and ordered, or what he told somebody else to do. I think with Obama, his whole presidency was, well, I found out about that when you did, so I didn't know anything. I'm just a president in name only. Obama weaponizes the DOJ and FBI, Irish girl said. Yeah, you'd have to think there's a link there. Now, whether or not, like I said, they'll ever make a link stick and they'll really get those people at the top, or will they stop maybe at Brennan and Clapper, and will it even go that high? But it's obvious, with Comey, with what he's doing, they're claiming now that Comey had put somebody from the FBI into the White House so that they could keep an eye on what President Trump was doing. Who the hell gave you the right, Comey? If you did this, right now it's allegations. Who gave you the right to be, God of the country? I know that's who you are, and that's what was wrong with who you are as an FBI director. The Democrats are scrambling after the hearing, contacting Barr. They know it's over now, Karma said. Yeah. So, it's just amazing. I heard Nancy, she came out afterwards and said, well, the media really now needs to get the truth out there. We hope that you get the truth out there because everybody needs to know that. And we made something like, we need to make sure it's the right truth to keep the country together. In other words, lie like you've been doing. Obama's entire administration was illegitimate, Bob said. They don't know, Motown said. Yeah, just unbelievable. And the other thing, you don't hear anything about Obama lately. Someone knows where he is. Yeah, Yuri, they were talking about yesterday. One of the Congress people said that he's probably over in some Caribbean or someplace like that. He's always out of the United States, it seems. So he's spending most time away. So, one of the other things I was going to say, we know what these people are doing. Nancy's truth is Scotch, Rocky said. We know what's going on. And we know what the game is. While we're focused on this, we can't forget, and I'm going to call them the Jezebel Squad from now on. The Jezebel Squad is put in place for a particular reason. We all know what that reason is. We can't take our eyes off of them. We can't stop telling the truth about them. We have to get that truth out there. We need to make sure that the Justice Democrats, that you tell everybody about the Justice Democrats, get out the videos on the Justice Democrats and who they are and what their scheme is. Most people do not know. People need to go to Obama's website to see how he is grooming an army against Trumpers and Christians. Yep, Eleni, he said that before he left office. It's not over, something is going to come at last minute. Absolutely, Karma. And if you think that these people now, the Democrats, are just going to slink away and start doing their jobs, ain't going to happen. And you know that. Doesn't sound strange. Obama used to run after Trump like a dog, Yuri said. Let's see. Some things I wanted to talk about. There's a video that surfaced on Omar from 2018. Yeah, thank you, Bob. Jezebel Squad. That's who they are. That's what I'm calling them. So, thank you. Thank you for the super hearts, Bob. There's an Omar video from 2018 when she was speaking at a Muslim conference, of course. I don't know that she's spoken at any other conference that I've ever seen her at, but she was saying then that Americans should be more fearful of white men than jihadist terrorism. So, and nobody's really talking about that or calling her out in mainstream media, of course. Now, she's got a new act that she is introducing today. It's called the Zero Waste Act. And I looked that up just to see if we'd talked about it before, whatever. And it's actually, I don't know if it's the same in her mind, but there is a program in Lebanon, with private schools. And it's the Green Project conducted this with the private schools in Lebanon. And basically what they're trying to do is institute the new the Zero Waste Act here. Well, Susan, will they have enough prison space for all the people going down after Barr's investigation? Well, Karma, remember, they are letting some people out of prison. Maybe they're making room. But anyway, so this morning she had a conference. And she had a really liberal guy. That's all I can say. Let me just say, a really liberal guy with a little bow tie, multicolored bow tie, that was up on the stadium, the podium, whatever, and not stadium, but podium. And he was talking about how he has come from Portland, Oregon, such a surprise, and that he wants this Zero Waste Act. And that it's really important if we're going to have this Zero Waste Act, which is a part of the Green New Deal, he said, we really need to get the federal government on board because they need to be paying for infrastructure. I say what needs to be done is that we need to be concerning ourselves with the border and any type of little frivolous thing that you want afterwards. Portland, Oregon guy and Omar, we can put that kind of behind on the back burner until we get the important stuff taken care of. Saw a political cartoon with Trump sending women astronauts to the moon. Yeah, somebody said they ought to send 4 next time. Wow, Karma said that Omar is now quoting the Quran in her tweets. Why not? I think she was sworn in on the Quran. Why not? Like I said, anyway. Oh, this is good news. This is supposed to happen today. Did you see? Oh, Judicial Watch has officially filed a complaint for investigation on Omar. Yes, Sylvia. Love Judicial Watch. They are going after Omar for having possibly married her brother and come here illegally to the United States. Now, as I said the other day, from what I've learned, there is a family whose last name is Omar that allowed her and her father and her brother to use that name to come into the United States. And I'm anti bow tie, especially Wayne, when liberals are wearing bow ties and they're cute little multicolored ones. Yeah, I'm kind of against those. Sorry, Wayne. Let's see. So this is going to happen today, where the U.S. manufacturers are supposed to be meeting with President Trump. And they're saying they're going to be training 1.2 million workers on skilled labor because of skilled labor shortage. They're going to be teaching, these workers, 1.2 million, how to do manufacturing jobs. And that, I think that's very positive. Judicial Watch is awesome. I'm so glad we have them. God is using them. Absolutely, Chesney. They're doing more work, at least openly, than the ACLJ. Mueller's lawyer yesterday is a guy that represented Hillary. IT guy, Ray the Closet server, Denny said. Good morning, Rosanna from Montana. We really have no idea if she is or who she says she is, Bob said. No, we don't. Not just for coming into the U.S. for getting loans and tax fraud. Yes. The whole shebang, and all the not saying that she was married to one while she was married to another and getting tax credits for that with the IRS. Can't that be done by high schools? Oh, you mean that the Zero Waste Act? Of course it can. Now, the House says that they're going to vote for a $1.4 trillion package that lifts federal budget caps and suspends the debt ceiling. And the rumor is that they have enough people on the GOP leadership who are going to vote with them because they want to avoid a government shutdown, and they think that President Trump supports that. Adam, you know what? I know when somebody comes in and they say that, what you want to do is, and you want to talk about racism and how people don't understand other people from other countries and blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to avoid you because I don't like people with agendas like yourself who basically have a question you really want to ask, but you like to sugarcoat it first. And it's like throwing out the little hook and then reeling back. I'm not going to be the fish on the end of your hook, Adam. Anyway, Dawn, Tom Fitton said he doesn't even know if Omar is her real name. Well, Dawn, is like I was saying, there are people saying that this family gave her the name and allowed her to use it. And so that's how the family got in. There was another family by the last name of Omar that was supposedly here and allowed for that to happen, allowed them to use their last name. So Omar wouldn't be her last name, if that's true. So now, some other news. Two Indianapolis teenagers were spotted on video going into a store, opening up soda bottles and spitting into them and then putting them back. I so want my chat back, missing people's responses, Karma said. So again, we have another one. Susan has been doing this long enough. She knows what she's doing. God is using her. Thank you, Chesney. So again, this isn't over. I guess the teens in Indianapolis aren't seeing that people are getting arrested for doing that. And, it could be a long time in jail if this keeps up. So, make sure that when you buy things at the store that they're closed and they haven't been opened already. Don't buy anything that's already been opened, and check it before you leave the store. I mean, unfortunately, it's come down to that these days. It's sad that we have to live in that kind of world, but that's what we live in. And so you have to be proactively taking care of yourself. Now, we saw a couple days ago about the the men in Harlem. I think they were all men. I don't remember seeing a woman doing it. But they were throwing buckets buckets of water and ice on the police. Several of them have been arrested. So about 3 have been arrested. So that's good. Karma said, I refuse to buy anything that doesn't have a seal anymore. Yep. Rick said, need to prosecute people for doing nasty crap. Yes, we do. Wayne said, check the seal. BC said, after yesterday, I'm convinced Mueller didn't write that report. Oh, BC, we talked about that in the very beginning. There's no way he wrote that report. The throwing water on cops has to stop, Cully said. Remember the Tylenol episode? Yes, Karma. That turned out to be, I believe, a family member who had done that, though. That's the difference. Charlie said, I picked up an open peanut butter the other day. Yep. Lee said she'd heard that 4 of the guys had been arrested. Good. Watch with the people in New York City and NYPD. Here's what's with them, Sylvia. It's called de Blasio. It's called having a mayor that disrespects the police department. That's what it is. And that's the problem. And that's why they are doing things of that nature. Now, there was one other thing I think I wanted to tell you about. Let me see if I wrote it down. Oh, yes. The other day when President Trump was speaking at Turning Point USA, they're now noticing that there was on the screen a big seal of the President of the United States, and the eagle was holding golf clubs. Don't know if somebody thought that was funny. Don't know if somebody, if a left-leaning person got in there and did that. I don't know. Rocky said should be 5 years mandatory minimum sentence, hard labor, chain gang for doing that, spitting into food, contaminating food. Yeah, it's a serious, serious issue. And these young people don't seem to realize the gravity of it. Again, if you watch things on TV, you watch, remember when Punk'd was on and different things happen, and it's like these people take it too far. It's like they don't have any adult supervision anymore. One was a creep member on patrol, Cully said. Chesney said, I'm so grateful my city respects police. Where was the seal? It was on the screen, Andra, behind him as he was speaking, apparently. And this is an article that came out in the Business Insider. So if you go, you can look it up and see that for yourself. I don't know if that was supposed to be a joke. Somebody thought it was cute. I'm not sure. But first of all, and it's not so much, against President Trump, that they shouldn't have done that. But this is the seal of the office of the President of the United States. You don't tamper with that. You don't disrespect the presidential seal. That must have been referencing Obama era, Alan said. No, that would have been a basketball. Wasn't he always playing basketball and golf? They could have had both, Alan. Yeah, Wayne, kids think it's funny, I guess, some kids spitting into bottles and putting it back. But they're going to find out how funny it isn't when they get arrested. A lot of Muslims running for all kinds of offices. Do your research before you vote. Yes. Yeah, and it's like I said, you're going to have to step it up. You're going to have to tell everybody you know about who the Justice Democrats are. They're real. Okay? And they are coming even harder and stronger now than they did before. BC said, cannot fix stupid. Yellowstone Bafool, one dumb 9-year-old. Not sure what that is, BC. But anyway, if you don't know who the Justice Democrats are, find out. There are videos all over the place about who these people are. There's articles that I've written. There's articles that other people have written about the Justice Democrats. They got AOC in, and they supported the other 3 Jezebel Squad members. That's why we say grace before we eat, Rick said. Yep. They make such a big deal of him golfing on his own dime while taking no pay baffles me, Karma said. Yeah, Karma. And a lot of them don't even know that he doesn't get paid, and a lot of them wouldn't care if they did know. Dems don't care. There are no Muslims running on the Republican ticket. Well, I don't know about that, Motown, because... not on the Republican ticket, but they're running for Republican seats in places that were typically really staunch Republican held seats. So that's a real threat. And you need to tell Democrats. And it's just like the guy that I talked about the other day. I think his last name, I don't know if his first name or last name was Scott, but he's a gay guy that's in Ohio. He told his friends, long-term friends, Buffalo flipped 9-year-old for getting too close. Oh, I see. I didn't see that, VC. Um, I forgot what I was saying. I really forgot what I was saying. So much going on. I forgot what I was saying. I think we was talking about, with the Justice Democrats. My point is, that Scott guy, the gay guy I was talking about from Ohio, he told his friends that I'm going to go, and I'm going to go to the Trump rally because I want to know more about him and who he's like, who he is, and see for myself. And they've disowned him. They basically disowned him. They were rude. They attacked him verbally. It was horrible. And he's like, you know what? I am done. Yes, Nick, look up Justice Democrats. They got AOC in. They also support the other three Jezebel squad. They're the ones that got them in. They're the ones that are bringing in these radical progressives. I like reading your stuff. You don't write. Could have been stories. You write facts. Thank you, Karma. So sometimes I give my opinion, not facts, but you know when it's my opinion, when it's not, usually my opinion is based on the facts I read. Scott is his name. Yeah, I think Scott's his last name. Jezebel Squad has brought back division in our country. Great for Trump. Love it, Rick said. He said Trump supporters were very kind to him. That's right, Roman. No, not Scott Pressler. No, Scott Pressler is gay and he's a Republican. This is a gay guy who was a lifelong Democrat. And he just decided he wanted to go to a Trump rally and see what it was like for himself. He's coming to the upcoming Trump rally, and all of his gay friends and anybody he's known for all his life have basically said, okay, buddy, you're out of my life. And they were rude to him, disgusting things that they said to him. And the Republicans were welcoming. And he's like, I'm done with the Democrat Party. That was it for me. It's over. So welcome to to rational thinking. I see. Make sure to vote, even if you're not interested, because a Muslim could get that seat. Vote for. There should be no reason that you don't vote for everything. I don't know who Brandon Straka is. Yep, walk away. Hashtag walk away. And I think if more Democrats, if they knew how Republicans viewed them and how they would treat them, if they came over and started researching on their own, finding the truth, and not listening to garbage and what the Democrats want them to believe, not what is factual, but what they want them to believe, I think that more people would walk away. Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if that was his name or not. The gay guy who started to walk away. Oh, did you see the BLM group came together with a Bikers for Trump group? It was awesome. Wow. I didn't see that, Karma. Like that walk away guy. Yep. Welcome to having a brain and thinking on your own, Sylvia said. Yes, Brandon started the walk away movement. Brandon started the walk away. Okay. I couldn't remember his last name, but yeah, I mean, see, the Democrats would have you believe that, Republicans hate gay people. Well, they're going to treat you bad because you're gay. No, they really don't. They really don't. Again, they don't care if you're gay, straight, black, white, Asian, European, from here, there, or everywhere. It is how you treat them. That's what they care about. And it's if you are going to try to hurt their country and take the republic away, yeah, then they don't like that so much. They were there to heckle Trump. People ended up uniting. Nice. I would, Karma, if you have that video, whatever, send it to me. I would love to see that. That would be so great. I saw a video. Well, I didn't watch the video because I didn't want to see it. But these two women, two African-American women, I don't remember where it was, but they were fighting each other. And as the woman was fighting the other one, she had a baby, like a 3-month-old baby in her arms. And they were fighting, and during the fight, she dropped the baby, and the baby died like a couple of days later. I mean, you can't take that back. Okay, Karma, thank you. Just love the USA. Yes, Sylvia. That just love the USA. Love the Republic and support the USA, meaning all the Constitution, the principles, the founding principles, the founding fathers, all that. Yeah, it's so sad. I mean, just horrible. I can't even imagine. Hoping that woman was arrested or child endangerment and negligence, but who knows? The right has moved to the left somewhat, whereas the left has rocketed out to the left. Yeah. Well, the right moved to the left when they were guilted into feeling that they had to vote for Obama. That was Georgia, Andra. Wow. They're charging the mother for the death of her baby. Good, Dawn, because they should. That was horrific. I can't, number one, I can't imagine how she feels, but at the same time, you're supposed to protect the baby, not have a fight with somebody and drop your child. Whew. Stay safe. I'll have a great rest of the day. Thank you, Lee. See you tomorrow. They will be free when they love their children more than they hate us, Charlie said. Charged her with murder, Andra said. Yep. The right is fine with gays, unlike who? Then passed. I don't know who that is. Yeah, nobody cares. They just want you to have good character. Dawn said, I agree, Susan. All right, you guys, thank you so much. Would you please retweet this and share this with your followers? And if you get a chance, go to susanknowles.com, read my article today, and please share that. All right. I will. I never voted for Obama, ever. All right, everybody. God bless you. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow.